Making headlines this hour. The President reaffirms the vital role of public servants in the Maldives' efforts to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. The President receives the non-resident ambassadors of 12 countries, including Iran, Egypt, and Spain. And the government proposes key amendments to the Thalassemia Control Act designed to further streamline services.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Abdullah Ahil. And now the news in detail. President Dr. Mohamed Muiz reaffirms the vital role of public servants in the Maldives' efforts to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, describing them as the pillars of good governance in a statement marking United Nations Public Service Day. The President issued his remarks via social media, coinciding with the annual observance recognized globally for celebrating the contributions of public service to society.
Observed each year on the same date, United Nations Public Service Day was established by the General Assembly in 2002 under Resolution ARES 572772. It acknowledges the value of public service, honors the dedication of public servants, and aims to inspire younger generations to consider careers within government institutions and departments. The President highlighted the indispensable function of public servants in sustaining governance structures and advancing national priorities. He said, quote, "Public servants are the pillars of good governance and are central to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals or SDGs," end of quote. He also expressed appreciation for the continued commitment of state employees and agencies, noting their essential contribution to the country's advancement and public welfare. The annual Public Service Forum held in connection with the observance is scheduled this year for the 23rd to the 25th of June in Samarkand, Uzbekistan. Titled 5 Years to 2030, Accelerating Public Service Delivery for a Sustainable Future, the forum reflects an urgency to strengthen service innovation in the lead-up to the SDG deadline. It is a key platform for global collaboration in the public sector.
President Dr. Mohamed Muiz receives the non-resident ambassador of 12 countries, including Iran, Egypt, and Spain, during a sequence of formal credential ceremonies held at the President's office in Male. Escorted in a traditional Haikkolo cultural procession from Republic Square, the envoys were accompanied by the Maldives National Defense Force Drum and Trumpet Band.
President Dr. Mohamed Muiz welcomes the non-resident ambassadors of Iran, Egypt, Spain, and 9 other countries on Monday in a formal ceremony at the President's office. The envoys arrived in a traditional Haikkolo procession escorted by the MNDF Drum and Trumpet Band. Fleming Raul Duarte Ramos, Paraguay's non-resident ambassador, presented credentials discussing stronger trade, education, tourism, and sports ties with President Muiz. Evagoras Virionides, Cyprus's non-resident High Commissioner, discussed boosting cooperation in healthcare, trade, and education with President Muiz. Both nations highlighted their shared island status to enhance student and professional exchanges. Spain's non-resident ambassador Juan Antonio March Pujol met President Muiz discussing expanded trade, tech cooperation, and tourism. Egypt's ambassador Abdel Ibrahim and President Muiz explored expanding cooperation in higher education, economic development, and healthcare. Dr. Alireza Delkhosh, non-resident ambassador of Iran, presented his letter of credence shortly thereafter. The meeting addressed economic cooperation, commitment to promoting peace and de-escalation in the Israel's attack on Iran via his official X account, describing it as a grave environmental resilience. Peter Muniri Mena, non-resident, particularly in support of the Maldives' national goal of generating during the subsequent ceremony. Lukman Bobokalonzoda, non-resident ambassador of Tajikistan, explored avenues for enhancing collaboration in tourism, education, healthcare, trade, and investment. Dr. Abdinur Khalifi, non-resident ambassador of Algeria, focused his meeting on expanding cooperation in trade, investment, and religious education. Dr. Purna Bahadur Nepali, non-resident ambassador of Nepal, concluded the day's ceremonies with a discussion on reinforcing cooperation in healthcare, agriculture, and education.
The government proposes key amendments to the Thalassemia Control Act designed to further streamline services and thalassemia prevention in the country.
The proposed amendment is designed to review the criteria of the post of Director General of Thalassemia and Hemoglobinopathy Center and to legally define the responsibilities and duties of the post. The amendment also specifies the regulations for marriage of people who are likely to bear children with thalassemia. According to the proposed amendment to the Thalassemia Control Act, the post of Director General of the Thalassemia Center will be a civil service post. The appointment will be made by the Civil Service Commission on the recommendation of the minister. The candidates are required to have at least a National Qualifications Framework Level 8 or 9 qualification in management and 10 years of work experience in the health sector. The DG of the Thalassemia Center can be appointed for a term of 5 years, and the criteria for the post are also detailed in the proposed amendment to the law. The government has added a provision to the Act on Marriage of Thalassemia Carriers who are likely to bear children with thalassemia. Currently, the law does not have a specific provision on such marriages but carries a clause on voluntary testing for thalassemia. The newly proposed provision states that couples must submit their thalassemia test results when seeking a marriage license. If the couple are considered to have children despite the risk of passing the thalassemia gene, a marriage license can only be granted after completing a specially tailored program that meets the requirements of a regulation made under the law. The new regulations will be formulated and made public within 30 days of the amendment coming into effect.
The government transfers $58.8 million to the Sovereign Development Fund or SDF so far this year, according to the Ministry of Finance and Planning, registering an increase of 42.8% over the same period last year.
According to the weekly fiscal development report released by the ministry, $58.8 million had been transferred to SDF between the 1st of January to the 12th of June this year. The SDF is designed to help repay foreign loans and strengthen the country's financial reserves. It is funded through various sources, including airport development fees, dividends from state-owned enterprises, and sovereign guarantee fees. The fund's purpose is to ensure fiscal responsibility, build investor confidence, and provide a financial cushion during economic downturns. According to the ministry, revenue from airport development fees stood at $50.6 million as of the 12th of June, which is an increase of 44.5% from the $35 million earned during the same period last year. The government is building up the sovereign fund to repay the huge amounts of debt due in 2025 and 2026.
Minister of Higher Education, Labor and Skills Development, Dr. Ali Haider Ahmed, tells to the parliament that the previous government had not completed the legally mandated review of the country's minimum wage.
Responding to a question over the review in Parliament on June 23rd, Minister Dr. Haider said the country's minimum wage came into effect in November 2021. As per the law, he said the government is mandated to review the minimum wage limit every 2 years, which means the first review was due in November 2023. However, the previous government, according to the minister, had not initiated efforts to conduct the legally mandated review. Immediately after President Dr. Mohamed Muiz assumed office in November 2023, all documents and data had been gathered and shared with the Minimum Advisory Board, which had been reconstituted in July last year. According to the minister, most of the technical staff who had been involved in the minimum wage process had left for various reasons, which had caused considerable delays. He explained to plug the shortfall, the Minimum Wage Advisory Board and the International Labor Organization, or ILO, are working together to acquire the technical assistance required to conduct the review. The minister said the minimum wage review with the assistance of ILO has been divided into 2 phases. The first phase will include the gathering from the latest labor force survey, household income and expenditure survey, along with primary data such as census and national productivity index. He added that the review will move on to Phase 2 as soon as Phase 1 is completed. Minister Dr. Haider assured that the labor force survey will be completed by December this year.
Minister of Homeland Security and Technology, Ali Hosan, says the primary objective of strengthening the Maldives Police Service, or MPS, is to enhance its capacity to speed up investigations. Speaking on PSM News Radyo Myo program, Minister Hosan said the government has attached top priority to enhancing the capacity of MPS, an integral part of maintaining Homeland Security. In addition to improving infrastructure and technical resources, he said the government is aiming to establish police presence in every inhabited island before the end of the year. According to Minister Ihosan, the purpose of establishing police stations in every island is designed to bring services closer to the people while expediting investigations of cases reported to the police across the country. The minister said that besides establishing infrastructure, increasing the operational capacity of the police remains a top priority. Minister also revealed plans to increase police patrols to ensure the safety and security of the public. The government is set to relocate the Villamale Hospital to the former children's shelter building to make way for the construction of a new state-of-the-art hospital building. The Ministry of Health has tasked the Male City Group of Hospitals to implement the relocation of the Villamale Hospital. The existing hospital in Villamale does not have the facilities to provide services to its 15,000 resident population. The hospital has 3 rooms for patients and 5 beds are currently used in the emergency room, forcing residents to take the ferry over to IGMH or Dharmavanta Hospital. Maldives and China last month signed an agreement to initiate the detailed design phase of the Villamale China-Maldives Friendship Hospital project. The Ministry of Construction, Housing and Infrastructure had said the feasibility study for the 112-bed capacity hospital has been completed, and the letter of exchange signing marks the commencement of the project's detailed design phase. The hospital, which will be developed with the grant assistance of the Chinese government, has been divided across 2 buildings. There will also be special beds for outpatient, inpatient, emergency, diagnostic, ICU, and hemodialysis treatment. Male Water and Sewerage Company Limited, or MWSC, has installed a new reverse osmosis or RO plant capable of producing 1,000 tons of water per day amid efforts to boost its production capacity. The state-owned firm, in a post on social media, said the new plant would increase the company's total production capacity to 28,000 tons of water per day, further ensuring the safe water provision to the people. Offering more details on the project, NWSC's Managing Director Abdul Mateen Muhammad told PSM News that the installation of the new plant was largely carried out by its staff, adding that the new plant is part of the company's efforts to increase the water storage and production capacity of the capital, Male. The company's key project at the moment, according to Muhammad, is the connection of the water supply networks in Male and Hulumale via the Sinamale Bridge, which is already in its test phase. He said MWSC is hoping to utilize the network before the end of the year, which will boost water supply to 20,000 tons a day. By doubling its production capacity and improving storage infrastructure, MWSC is working towards meeting the increasing water needs of Male and its surrounding areas. Insights into business. Oil prices jumped to their highest since January as the United States' weekend move to join Israel in attacking Iran's nuclear facilities stoked supply worries.
Brent crude futures was up $1.92 or 2.49% at $78.93 a barrel as of 1:17 GMT. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude advanced $1.89 or 2.56% to $75.73. Both contracts jumped by more than 3% earlier in the session to $81.40 and $78.40 respectively, touching 5-month highs before giving up some gains. The rise in prices came after U.S. President Donald Trump said he had obliterated Iran's main nuclear sites in strikes over the weekend, joining an Israeli assault in an escalation of conflict in the Middle East as Tehran vowed to defend itself. Iran is OPEC's 3rd largest crude producer. Market participants expect further price gains amid mounting fears that an Iranian retaliation may include a closure of the Strait of Hormuz, through which roughly a fifth of global crude supply flows.
Asian shares dips in morning trade and oil prices briefly hit 5-month highs as the world awaited Iran's response following U.S. strikes on 3 of its nuclear sites over the weekend.
In South Korea, the benchmark Korea Composite Stock Price Index, or KOSPI, opened down at 2,992.20 from a previous close of 3,021.84. In Tokyo, the Nikkei 225 index fell, dropping as much as 0.95% after trading opened.
Well, Iran's 3% of the global oil supply, so that's a concern. But OPEC has said they will release supply. So I think short term, it'll be okay in respect to oil. The big thing is if there's some sort of blockade for the Straits of Hormuz, that could interrupt shipping.
Hong Kong's benchmark Hang Seng Index opened 194 points lower, or 0.82%, at 23,335 points. China's Shanghai Composite, or SSE Index, opened down 10.44 points, or 0.31%, at 3,349.46. Oil prices were up around 2.8%, but off their initial peaks. Key will be accessed through the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran has threatened to close off. The waterway is only about 33 kilometers or 21 miles wide at its narrowest point and sees around a quarter of the global oil trade and 20% of liquefied natural gas supplies.
Now looking at world news, Spain's Foreign Minister José Manuel Álvarez tells reporters he will ask the EU Council to approve an immediate suspension of a pact that governs the relationship between the European Union and Israel to protest against what he said were human rights violations in Gaza.
Under the EU-Israel Association Agreement, which came into force in 2000, the EU and Israel agreed that their relationship shall be based on respect for human rights and democratic principles. The EU's diplomatic service said on June 20th there were indications that Israel had breached its human rights obligation under the term of the pact.
Europe must show courage. Courage in favor of peace. Courage in favor of international law. On all those things that are the ideas of Europe. Because either that world, the world of the values that are at the center of European Union is what we defend, what we allow others, the ones that think that only force and war can forge the future, to be the ones that are in the lead. So today is just a day to acknowledge what we all knew since many months ago. There are violations of human rights, but today is above all the day of action. Anything else would be a failure for European Union.
Álvarez also said he would ask the Council to approve an embargo on weapons sold to Israel and approve sanctions on individuals who are undermining the two-state solution.
Iran's Defense Minister Amir Hatami says that every time the U.S. committed crimes against Iran, they received a decisive response, and it will be the same this time.
This is nothing new, Hatami said at a meeting with army chiefs on Monday after the U.S. struck Iran over the weekend. Iran said on Monday that the U.S. attack on its nuclear sites expanded the range of legitimate targets for its armed forces and called U.S. President Donald Trump a gambler for joining Israel's military campaign against the Islamic Republic. Iran and Israel traded air and missile strikes as the world braced for Tehran's response to the U.S. attack on its nuclear sites over the weekend, which Trump suggested could lead to the overthrow of the Iranian government.
Top stories in sports. The Houston Rockets are acquiring 15-time All-Star forward Kevin Durant from the Phoenix Suns in exchange for guard Jalen Green, forward Dillon Brooks, the number 10 overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft, and 5 second-round picks, ESPN reports.
Durant has 1 season left on his current deal and is set to earn $54.7 million in 2025-26. Durant, who turns 37 in September, played in 62 games with the Suns in 2024-25. He averaged 26.6 points, 6 rebounds, 4.2 assists, and 1.2 blocks, not far off of his career averages. He also shot 43% from three-point range. Selected to the All-NBA First Team 6 times, Durant has appeared in 1,000 1,123 games with the Seattle Supersonics/Oklahoma City Thunder from 2006 to 2016, Golden State Warriors from 2016 to 2019, Brooklyn Nets from 2020 to 2023, and the Suns. He has a career averages of 27.2 points, 7 rebounds, 4.4 assists, and 1.1 blocks, shooting 39% from long distance. Once the new league year begins on the 6th of July, Durant is eligible to sign a 2-year extension worth up to $122 million.
Moving on to technology, Tesla deploys a small group of self-driving taxis picking up paying passengers in Austin, Texas, with CEO Elon Musk announcing the robo-taxi launch and social media influencers posting videos of their first rides.
Musk called the moment the culmination of a decade of hard work in a post on his social media platform X and noted that the AI chip and software teams were built from scratch within Tesla. Teslas were spotted early Sunday in a neighborhood called South Congress with no one in the driver's seat but one person in the passenger seat. The automaker planned a small trial with about 10 vehicles and front seat riders acting as safety monitors, though it remained unclear how much control they had over the vehicles. In recent days, the automaker sent invites to a select group of influencers for a carefully monitored robo-taxi trial in a limited zone. Musk said on X that the rides are being offered for a flat fee of $4.20. Industry experts say if Tesla succeeds with the small deployment, it still faces major challenges in delivering on Musk's promises to scale up quickly in Austin and other cities.
And that's all the news we have for today. We'll be back with any further updates. Until then, I'm Abdullah Ahil from PSM News.